let's jump in. Again, I didn't introduce I'm Carl Blackstone with the Columbia Chamber, and we really are excited. We've got a lot of new faces today, and we'll get to each person. But I'd love to start off. Suzanne was kind enough to be with us at a previous, I guess it was last meeting, but Suzanne Edwards has been partnered with the Columbia Chamber for 15 years. She's with Cassidy and Associates up in DC. And we use some of the hard-earned money that folks like you give us to help protect our interest here in Columbia up in DC. And so she's our eyes and ears. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne for a quick update on what's happening in DC. That'll kind of set the tone for the rest of the conversation. Suzanne, thank you.
Thank you. I'm not gonna take any responsibility for what is or is not happening in DC. I'll let our delegation do that. But I want to provide an update on kind of where we are on some of our legislative efforts, some good news stories for the fort. And Carl is right. With Carl and his predecessor Ike, we've been partnered with the Chamber since 2003, and we're grateful to be a part of both the growth of Fort Jackson as a result of the 2005 BRAC, but also in the supplemental programmatic environmental assessment, stopping what could have been some devastating cuts to the base. So I'm sure that the delegation who's been working very hard on this will probably have some things to add, but I just want to give a quick snapshot of where we are in DC right now. And I'm going to rush through this fairly quickly, mindful of the agenda. So I'm going to share my screen. Is that up?
Yes.
Okay. So Barry and I have been working with the Chamber since 2003. So in general, just kind of a quick update on where we are in COVID legislation. I know a lot of you are business owners. So the House and Senate are still working on what CARES 2.0 might look like, and whether that's direct incentives, incentives for the defense industrial base, et cetera. Each chamber has passed a bill. The House passed the HEROES Act back in May. The Senate passed the HEALS Act in July, which is a combination of 8 disparate pieces of legislation, all with kind of different titles. Negotiations are continuing. The White House put out an executive order to help alleviate some of the direct economic or unemployment insurance issues, but they are continuing today. There is one issue to point out is that the HEROES Act has no defense funding, and I think we talked last quarter that there was a possibility that CARES 2.0 might have what are called SRM dollars, Sustainment, Restoration, and Modernization dollars, which help Fort Jackson and other military installations basically take care of some of maintenance issues that may have fallen off as readiness has fallen down, et cetera. Currently, that's not in the bill, but what we are seeing is with kind of the change in tempo of how the military is doing its work right now, we're starting to see some end of year dollars and leftover dollars get obligated for projects that are SRM. And I don't know if our folks from the Guard have anything. I know I've seen some Guard projects flowing through in other states, so I'd be curious to hear where we are in that. One big difference between these two bills is HEALS has no additional funding for state and local governments, and HEROES has $1 trillion. And as you can imagine, we are just battling big budget discrepancies between the House and Senate right now. Just a quick update on DSIP, which is the Defense Community Infrastructure Program. They announced their first down select about a week and a half ago. The Chamber made the decision not to participate in with a project this year to kind of get some lessons learned. They invited 16 out of about 120 applicants to apply for that funding. I participated in a readout on that last week, and it seems like a lot of that money is going either to recreational centers, YMCAs. That was kind of a theme that came through, but all of them were scored based on quality of life, and it seemed like schools and recreational / health, like personal health projects seemed to rise to the top over like wastewater, energy, other things that kind of, they put everything that touched energy, wastewater, roads into resiliency and not in quality of life. Both the House and Senate have completed their NDAAs. Conference and negotiations will begin this week. Thanks to the hard work of our delegation, the Fort Jackson Trainee Barracks additional phase was authorized. I think we talked about this last time. There's a little bit of a cost overrun. So now we've authorized against that, but the great news is on the next page, The House has marked up almost all their bills, including defense and the Milcon bill. And included in that, Milcon has not been, quote, earmarked or plussed up for a very long time. The last I can remember is probably about 2009. And a great news story, and thanks to the hard work of our delegation, there is an additional $42.2 million for Fort Jackson specific projects, including 2 UFERS unfunded requirements, and then the $7 million appropriated against that authorized cost overrun. The Senate's not marked up any bills to this point. We've heard they're ready to go. They're just tussling over top line budget issues. But I'm working with Senator's office. I know that they're prepared to help see these through, and these are things the Army is also committed to internally. So it's a great news story for the region, and some significant direct economic impact. As far as what's going to happen in Washington, I wouldn't expect that we're going to see anything but a continuing resolution, particularly until we see how the elections go out in the fall. I don't expect that will be a full year continuing resolution. My inclination is to think that after the election, no matter what the result is, either party's just going to want to clear the deck for a new Congress coming back in January. And finally, and I don't know if there's folks from Military Base Task Force, I think I saw Sandy's here. A couple weeks ago, the Air Force released the first of what a couple services are putting out is the Support of Military Family Report. So about 3 years ago, all the service secretaries signed an agreement and sent it to the governor saying that military quality of life is going to be considered a factor in all future basing decisions. So this is the first study we've seen, and the other services, including the Army, are doing theirs that look at specifically education and licensure, spousal licensing, license reciprocity, et cetera, and stacked each state up against each other. In a great news story for South Carolina, and thanks to the hard work of our state legislature, the Military Base Task Force, the governor, South Carolina was one of only 6 states in the whole country to score all green in terms of spousal licensure. So it was a really big win for the state. We know this because we could look at Charleston, and I've included on the next slide the McIntyre scoring sheet. So if you look at the bell curve in terms of public education, and that took into account, I think, 11 of the districts around McIntyre, we're about in the middle on the scoring. But those greens on license portability and spousal licensure is a really big deal for the state. And I know it's something that folks have been working hard to accomplish. So thank you for everything you've done on that. I know I kind of breezed through that, and sorry, I'm a little over 2 minutes, but we will make this presentation available to send out, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's good stuff, Suzanne. Thanks very much. There's a big group, so I'm not getting to see everybody, but if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat box. And we'll get back with you with some answers, but we will have, we will put, the recording of this will be on our website a little later on today as well. So good stuff, Suzanne. Thanks. And really, I appreciate all the help from the congressional folks on making sure that Jackson is well taken care of. And to that end, let's start down the list of William, I'm going to throw you under the bus first. Senator Graham's office, thanks for being with us.
Great, thanks for having me, and send everybody greetings from Senator Graham. A few updates for you. Sent these to Susan too, so everybody should be able to see them. The NDA was passed in the Senate and is currently in conference. I'm not sure when it's going to be done at this time though. Defense appropriations and all appropriations bills haven't been marked up in committee yet, but they'll work on that. And they said expect a continuing resolution for sure. Just don't know how long that's going to last. It all depends on several different variables. But that's all I have at this time, other than to welcome Colonel Larson as the Deputy Commander at Fort Jackson. And we're glad he's here and his family. And that's all I have, pending any questions.
Even I forget to unmute. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Brianna Bateman is on. Brianna, Senator Tim Scott's office.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it via video today. We are moving my youngest brother into college, so big day for our family, but I always love following William. He says everything so eloquently, but I also bring greetings from Senator Scott. As you all know, we had a big night last night, so we are excited. And if you all have any questions or concerns or anything you would like details on, you can reach out to myself and Kunal, who's in our DC office. I'm happy to loop him in. He handles military issues for our office. So if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate your boss did a great job last night. Congratulations for that. Mr. Ward, my neighbor, how are you? From Congressman Clyburn's office. Larry, you got anything you want to add today?
Yeah, we want to talk about the broadband a little bit.
Okay,
The
good.
Congressman has sponsored that for some time. About 10 years ago, he really started working on that. And so right now, they are, it's going to be for everybody because, 1 in 10 households do not have broadband. So that's one of the things he's really focusing on right now. And also, he is focusing on the post office. He visited a local post office in a rural area last week, and quite a few people came up and were saying to talk about the problems that they were having. So he's also working on that. There's a couple other things he's working on, but I just want to get those two out, the broadband and the post office.
Right. I will tell you this, the broadband piece is significantly important. And COVID highlighted the need for the broadband conversation. I mean, that he's been talking about that for a number of years, so we appreciate his advocacy there. But from an educational and healthcare perspective, there could not be nothing more that's more transformational. Let me just say that than rural broadband. So thanks very much, Larry. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Alex Morris, Congressman Joe Wilson's office. Alex is here, I think.
No, Jeffrey Crosby is here.
Oh, Jeffrey Crosby. Sorry.
Yep.
How are you?
So sorry I'm not on video. Got kicked in the face last night in jiu-jitsu, and I don't want y'all seeing my ugly grill right now. Congressman's working on a lot. Fiscal year 2021. A couple things. I'll just go over some of the topics. Modernization of the nuclear triad, supporting military families, cybersecurity protections, body armor for females modernization act. He's still pushing. Military aircraft in South Carolina. He's actually pushed a bill that will allow 79 new F-35 aircrafts to be built. And he's working with the Savannah River site. So that's about all I got.
If I can add to that, Carl, hey, this is Alex. Just wanted to, what Jeffrey was going over was some of the big wins for the district and the state in the National Defense Authorization Act this year. And we did get enshrined a 2-site solution to plutonium pits. So we'll see the MOX facility down at SRS repurpose to make about 50 pits a year. There was a 3% pay bump for military in the NDAA this year, as well as Jeffrey mentioned the Body Armor for Females Modernization Act was a bill that Congressman Wilson dropped, and it was rolled into the NDAA this year. With Fort Jackson training over 60% of female soldiers, that's a huge win for us there. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, great. Congratulations. That's good stuff. Thank you very much. So that great update and great participation from our congressional folks. We owe them a debt of gratitude for their work on our behalf. I cannot speak enough about our entire delegation and how they really wrap their arms around the military in the state. So thank you all for participating and being with us today. Let me move to we got a rookie. We actually got a few rookies that are here today. First time speakers and first time attendees to our military group. I want to introduce Candace Terry, who is she's actually Director of Government Affairs for the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs. She's got a heck of a resume, and enjoy getting to know Candace. So Candace, welcome to our fun time this afternoon. You want to give a quick update on what's happening with the newest Office of Veterans Affairs?
Hi, thank you. So I want to, first of all, kind of reiterate what you said and welcome Dan Beatty to the team. We are really excited to have him on board. We are actually working on a lot of bills to pre-file once the new legislative session starts. But the only one that I really wanted to bring up today was the the military retirement. Just so everyone is tracking, priority no, but just to confirm, it will not be going anywhere this year. We're going to be pre-filing that again next year. And we're looking to make a couple of changes to that so it's a little more palatable, especially given the current economic situation. So we're very hopeful that we'll see that go through next year. But anything else that we're working on, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Be more than happy to answer those.
Great, thank you. It's just not a doom and gloom picture, but there's no question COVID has had a significant impact on our local, state, and even federal budgets. And so as we, I think BEA's meeting, and we're going to see significant impact on our state budget. So what once was a $1.8 billion surplus is probably no more, but business is picking up. And so that's the good news. So anyway, how about Jeff Suits with the VA healthcare system? I saw Jeff earlier. Jeff, are you there? Thought I saw you a little bit earlier.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. There we go. How are you?
So thanks for letting me. I'm doing good, Carl. Thanks for letting me join today. Mr. Moore, our medical center director, is in the upstate visiting our 3 clinics, so I'll give you guys a quick update on where we're at. Columbia Healthcare System continues to lead the VHA with over 23,000 COVID tests that we've done for not only our state, but the 8 medical centers in Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, as well as 8 state veteran homes, 3 in South Carolina and 4 in Alabama. So we are very busy doing COVID testing on the Roche platform. There's currently only 5 VAs across the country that are able to use the Roche platform, and we're one of those. In addition to that, we also have BioFire, which is a very sensitive test that can also test for all the flu as well as COVID-19. We have that up and running. We're one of a handful of VAs across the country that have that capacity. And we also had the Cepheid platform, which is a 45-minute test. And currently for the state veteran homes, we've tested over 4,000 veterans in the state veterans homes across those 2 states. So we're very engaged right now in the community of helping our state veteran homes. As far as construction here in Columbia, we've got a lot going on our 97-acre campus. Our building 10 that was built in 1932, it's coming along very nicely. The Fisher House, it was slated to break ground in October. That's been slipped a little bit to the spring time frame. We have a new parking garage and a new specialty clinic, a women's clinic, a prosthetics building, a mental health center of excellence, a rehab facility, and a new primary care annex. All of that's going to start construction this year, or I'm sorry, 21. And we're very excited. But the biggest news is our Orangeburg clinic. So if you're not aware, next to Walmart out in Orangeburg, they've already broken ground, and we've got a big headway on getting that Orangeburg clinic built. So we're very excited about that. We will be doing a groundbreaking soon. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to do a virtual groundbreaking, but we're working on that. The Sumter Clinic, it has been approved. It was protested, but that has been resolved. So hopefully we can get that on track to build a new clinic in Sumter. The Rock Hill Clinic, which is our contract clinic, the long-term contract has been awarded so we can continue services, and we're 35% into the design of a new clinic. So hopefully by the end of the year, early next year, we can get that awarded for construction, and we can kind of start moving forward with building a new Rock Hill Clinic, and that'll be a VA owned and operated clinic. And then Florence, that clinic is currently on track with the 35% design, should be done by the end of this year. We'll put it out for bid for construction next year, and we'll build a 25,000 square foot clinic in all Orangeburg, Sumter, Rock Hill, and Florence. So we are trying to quickly mobilize and get ready for the flux of veterans. We currently serve 85,000, but we anticipate that increasing tremendously as veterans are moving to the state of South Carolina.
So you're telling me you're bored?
Slightly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love, if you wouldn't mind, the amount of construction dollars that you're spending. Could you get that to Susan? I think that's y'all are spending a lot of money. I think people need to recognize the investment that y'all are making in this community. So if you don't mind.
You're absolutely correct, Carl. It's in the tune of $129 million.
Wow, that's a lot. That's great. And of all the great programs that you're adding and facilities you're adding, I'm just assuming the most positive one, or the most everybody's talking about, is the new parking deck. That probably is catching more attention.
Well, actually, it's not. We do have a parking deck open right now. It's 288 spots, and it's packed every day, but it's packed with employees because we have a very regiment system. We're 165 days in our instant command right now, so only patients park up front. Everybody's screened up front. We have expanded services slightly. We're still doing urgent and emergent and those veterans that truly need to be seen face to face. However, today's kind of been a monumental day for us. We had over 1,000 VVCs, or VA Video Connect sessions. So very similar to what we're having right now, except it's the patient and the provider. So we had 1,000 phone calls today, 1,000 VVC, and then about 1,200 face-to-face today across our entire healthcare system. So parking at the VA right now is not a problem because of the way we've stretched out our day. We're 7 days a week, 7:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. We're open for screening up front, and the employees park in the back. But we are going to build another parking deck. It should start in the spring. That's going to tie into this one as we continue to prepare for services. So we are very busy, and we're trying to take care of the veterans the best we possibly can, and truly only see those individuals face to face that really need to be seen face to face.
That's great. Great report. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Jeff. Hey, Leanne, what's going on?
Good
Welcome.
afternoon. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you having us here. And yes, I am fortunate to work alongside Jeff. I'm the director of the VA Regional Office, and we're on the other side of campus near where a lot of that new construction is occurring.
Right.
And the regional office is where we process veterans benefits. So things like VA home loan guarantee, GI Bill, disability benefits, vocational rehabilitation. And so in fact, I could share real quick with you just a couple of phone numbers in case the audience would like to keep them handy. We are definitely still open for business despite COVID. So we are continuing to process claims, accept applications, checks go out every month without fail. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew that we are still available to help veterans, although we are closed to walk-ins into the regional office. Right now, about 99% of my employees are teleworking, and veterans can meet with us virtually. So at the bottom, I posted a phone number local, as well as an email that's local. And if you want to have an appointment with one of my staff members to file a claim or find out the status of a claim, you can do that here. I just also wanted to share a couple other bullet points, such as the Blue Water Navy Act. That was in the news a lot this last couple of years in particular. And it's back in the news actually regarding a few additional presumptive disabilities, which may be added to the list of disabilities linked to or correlated with exposure to herbicides, to include Agent Orange. But the current Blue Water Navy Act that went into effect this past January has been tremendously impactful for our Navy veterans who served near Vietnam but did not set boots on ground. And before this year, we were not allowed to grant benefits presumptively to those sailors unless they could show that they got off the ship and docked somewhere in Vietnam. And now they just have to show that they were on ship within 12 nautical miles. And the veterans don't even have to come up with that information. We get it from DOD. They simply tell us they were on ship near Vietnam or Cambodia. And in the past 8 months, 71% of those Vietnam War era sailors have been granted benefits out of those that have been filed. And 30,000 veterans have been granted across the nation, $603 million. While here in South Carolina, 700 of those Vietnam era sailors have been granted $11 million in retroactive benefits thus far this year. So we continue to grant those benefits every day and continue to track the amount of retroactive benefits that they're receiving. And then of course they get a monthly check from this point forward. So we're thrilled that we are continuing to serve our Vietnam veterans in this way. Wanted to also let you know that during this COVID hardship time, we have employment assistance available for veterans. We can help them find jobs I have 2 full-time employment coordinators. I have a staff of 30 vocational rehabilitation counselors. They have a master's degree in vocational counseling, and we are helping veterans find jobs every day. We can help with placing them in internships. We can help with linking them up with employers. So we have a lot of expertise on staff. So please give us a call and let us help any veteran that you know that might be struggling or might be needing to file a claim or just has questions about their VA benefits, because some folks have never accessed everything that they're entitled to. So thank you for having me today.
Hey, thanks for the update. Really appreciate it. How about my friend Jennifer Harding? She is the incoming state chair of the South Carolina Employer Support for the Guard and Reserves, ESGR, for those that know it better that way. Ms. Harding.
Hi there. How are you? Thanks for having us today.
Thank you.
Greetings from our current chair.
Hey, Jennifer, I think you're cutting in and out.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me all right now?
We can hear you now.
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So Eli's been in this position for 6 years, and he'll be the state chair for South Carolina Guard and Reserve. We are a
Hey, Jennifer. Hold that thought. Let's see if we can.
reservists.
We're going in and out.
Uh-oh, I don't know why. All right, well, listen, I don't really have an update other than to tell you guys that I'll be looking for some volunteer support for you guys on the military side and also on the employer side, and we'll catch up next time we get together.
Hey, thank you very much. Congratulations, and want to thank Eli for his 6 years of service for ESGR. For those that don't know, Eli Wisher, he's a great American, so appreciate his leadership over the years. We're going to turn over to the University of South Carolina. General Todd McCaffrey, he joined us briefly at the last meeting, but we didn't ask him to, we didn't put him on the spot. We're going to put him on the spot, and we really want to know what he is up to at USC.
Hey, Carl, thanks very much. Yeah, great. I appreciate the introduction. Certainly welcome the opportunity to talk as my first time presenting on behalf of the university, and it's great to be here. I'm a new resident at Columbia, actually closed on a house yesterday, so now officially a taxpayer in Columbia as well, so I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
I want to, the number of folks, of course, out there have been really helpful getting me on board. James Smith here at the university, and certainly Jared Evans, who's on with us today, has been helping me, and he's been carrying the lion's share of the work that I'm kind of been hired on to do. So for those of you that don't know, this is a new position for the university. It's got a long, wonky title. Probably effectively, it's probably Director of Military Affairs. It's kind of a shorter title for it. So I've kind of really got 3 roles for the university. One is to try to integrate and kind of tie together the military-related programs. Part of that is tied to increasing military-affiliated student enrollment. That's veterans, that's active duty members. That includes the Guard and Reserve and the family members who leverage, in many cases, the great VA benefits that are available to them. Second, what I'm also going to be working is to try to expand the university's stake in a variety of research efforts. As many of you know, of course, much better than I, the university's got a fabulous College of Engineering Computing. It's got a fabulous School of Public Health, a College of Arts and Sciences, and there are a whole variety of Department of Defense-related research efforts that are out there, not the least which includes Special Operations Command in Tampa, Army Cyber right across the Georgia border at Fort Gordon, which is a growing industry, of course, in the cyber domain is something we're trying to tap ourselves into. And then, of course, with 8 bases in South Carolina of all different flavors, all the services, the Guard, the Reserve, you know, South Carolina is just ripe for support. And the university, it be the flagship university for the state, is in a great position to service that population. And frankly, to advance for the benefit of South Carolina, we're really excited about doing. So that's kind of the job description that I've been hired in to do. So I'm sort of not breaking new ground. I'm really just integrating the great work that many others have been doing now for the last several years. And so I think we're trying to take this much at a higher level, particularly and leverage in many of these research opportunities while and continue to better serve the students that are here at the university. And again, I just want to call, we'll have Jared Evans, who's been doing absolutely fabulous yeoman's work on behalf of veterans, students that are here of all different flavors. Just a couple quick things I think would be interesting to this group, which may not be news to you, but it was news to me. As you know, last year, the university, working with the board and with the legislature, was able to really do two things, I think, that leveled the playing field for access to the university by both part-time and full-time students with military affiliation. You know, first, we lowered the tuition rate to the tuition assistance rate, which is $250 per credit hour. What that does is that allows part-time students to enroll in courses at the university at the same rate that they're getting from the services and tuition assistance. That's huge because those service members can take those dollars and apply to any number of different institutions. And we think South Carolina is a great buy for them. For full-time students, we've capped the semester tuition rate for active duty members in South Carolina at $3,000 a semester. That's a remarkable rate there, and one we continue to think is going to generate increasing demand for military affiliated students here in South Carolina. So we're excited about both those. I'm learning about both those, and I got to tell you, we're going to try to increase the marketing of that. In fact, I've got a meeting right after this on how to better market some of the things we're doing for both resident students and online students for South Carolina. A couple of things are coming up. We're going to be doing again. I understand this is the third year. We'll be doing an annual Veterans Day 5K run to raise money. Last year, the university, that effort led by Jared Evans and the Student Veterans Association raised $19,000, which went to support the Fisher House at the VA. So we're excited about seeing that effort move forward. I have a long history with the Fisher House at different installations, and I'll tell you, it's a great and worthy, righteous cause for donations. This money this year it'll be a virtual run. We're actually going to spread it over the course of a week between the 6th of November and the 8th of November over the weekend to do the 5K, and monies raised from that will again go to the Fisher House. So I know the student veterans here are excited about continuing support for that cause, and so that'll be working our way through it. We're continuing to work our way through the COVID piece on that, and then I think we'll get more out on social media to sign up folks. So for those that are interested in running Veterans Day, please join us virtually for a 5K run. Hey, finally, again, I know time is short. I just want to thank all of you for many of you for the really warm welcome to Columbia and the university, and I'm really excited about continuing to work with the chamber. Certainly willing to work with all the other folks that are out there. Really particularly appreciate our congressional delegations being represented on here, and look forward. Please tap me up. Like I said, I'm now living in town. You can find me out in the Heathwood neighborhood, and we're excited about being in South Carolina. So, Carl, again, thanks for the time, and I'll take any questions.
Thanks for being a taxpayer in Columbia, South Carolina. We appreciate it a lot, actually. A lot of good things. Let me pause this little executive privilege here, if I may. I want to give a shout out to the university. If you look across the country and you think about all the schools that are having issues right now, there's never a better time to have a retired military lead a university than during a pandemic. And so I think y'all have done a great job. I want to congratulate President Caslen. We're not over this by any stretch, but I think the way y'all have handled things have been great. And I just seen the nightmares that are happening Tuscaloosa and other parts of this country. Again, that doesn't mean we just got to be vigilant in how we handle this virus, but I think y'all have done a great job. So please thank him on our behalf for at least we're not getting all the negative news in the press. So thank you very, very, very much. And we fully expect cases, and we all know that's going to happen. So don't think that for a minute we're all immune, but y'all got a good plan in place. So thank you.
Hey, Carl, thank you for saying that. First of all, yeah, I agree. I've worked with President Caslen in the military uniform for many years, so I think you couldn't have a better leader at the helm to take us through this crisis. I would offer this just in terms of the university's handling, because I think the university is a new guy coming in. The university has done a fabulous job, but what makes it unique here, or more unique than other cases, is the great relationship with the city of Columbia. This has been very much a collaborative effort, not just at the university, but it has been, hand in glove with the city. And I think the key to success, as President Caslen has said, is you got to over communicate during a crisis. And the first thing that you lose in crisis is trust. And to maintain trust is transparency and collaboration. So I appreciate the chamber and frankly the entire city leadership, as well as the state, of course, but here in the city in particular, as the university has gone working its way through this. And you're right, we're going to have some cases. But we're confident, handling the ability of handling those cases is the key, and I think the university is well postured to do that. So thanks again for that comment.
Yep, thank you. Want to introduce our CASA civilian aide, the Secretary of the Army. Everybody knows retired Colonel Kevin Schwedo. Colonel, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I just got a note with my communication orders from the Secretary of the Army, so they're somewhat timely. And I'll also have an opportunity to report back on this as we've got a telephone conference with him this night, this evening at 7 o'clock. So I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to take one version, and that is to brag on our USO. I don't know how many of you travel regularly, but I do, and still do it in this environment. The only USO I've seen open nationwide has been ours. And I'm very proud to say that we have served almost 10,000 soldiers in the last 30 days.
Wow.
So they're out there, Joni, Katie, Sherry Becker, that whole team of volunteers is doing great things. And as you're going through the airport, if you're traveling like me, stop by and thank them for what they're doing, because I don't know of another USO out there doing it. Next thing is, and this is new, and I don't think anybody online has heard this, the Army is looking to pilot a cyber pilot partnership among academia. Read that as, for example, USC, South Carolina State industry, and the military. And all three cohorts have to be there in order to participate in this JROTC pilot. The object is to go ahead and train freshmen through seniors in high school and leverage the power of the university and the military and the industry as coaches, mentors, and teachers to get them internships, to get them certifications, and to prepare them for the workforce, either upon graduation from high school or graduation from college. So this is a big piece. It's probably going to kick off in about a year, but there are going to be 20 sites selected, and I think that we're prime if we can make it all come together. Really, the key in some respects is going to be to integrate the industrial portion and the university, so that we have the internship pieces, particularly among the Guard there, to get them in use and on the ground, because industry doesn't want to necessarily take an individual that's going to go straight into the military and bet that they're coming back. But if we can take them out of high school and we can put them in this program, we can set them on up. And obviously, Proximity Army Cyber Command is a big, big deal. Next one is Walter Reed. I was asked to talk about Operation Warp Speed. It's a one-liner. Walter Reed has selected the top COVID-19 prototype vaccine and two backups. All three start phase 1 in-human clinical trials in September. So the Army is ahead of the power curve in terms of preparing for the vaccine that we all need. And we're hoping to hear something very, very soon after the clinical trials begin. All of the services, and this isn't just the Army, is looking for your help with recruiting. Everybody ought to be looking our youth in the eyes, because right now, opportunity is going to meet demand. There are individuals in today's world that couldn't afford college that need a job, that lost a job that need a job. And we ought to offer the opportunity to get those people in the military. And it's going to take our direct involvement. And the Secretary is asking to get involved with the recruiters and to get involved with the public. As people back away, they're afraid to get out in the community. It's going to be, if you see an individual that is not gainfully employed with school, does not have a job, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, they're going to be right for that individual. Next one is the Army is going to start a sponsorship program. The Army's had a great sponsorship program as you move from one location to another. But we're trying to, with the Soldier for Life position, is get individuals a sponsor as they leave the Army in the local community. We've not ever done that. We're talking about a one-on-one sponsor that can talk about getting the individual a job, that can go ahead and reintroduce them to the community. And these individuals will, in fact, receive training from the Army so that they are properly prepared to receive those duties. And we're not just checking a block with taking care of our soldiers for life. Next one is the Army is also looking to, and has already begun, working with the retiree community to find and train casualty assistance officers, primarily for a large retiree population. We've already got our first volunteer, happens to be a world-class lawyer here in the area, who couldn't be better poised to go ahead and help somebody. And so again, the Army is going to train these individuals, and they're looking for individuals that can serve as that casualty assistant officer when our spouses need that kind of help most, particularly in the retiree community. Let's see. Last thing are just a few key dates I've been asked to go ahead and bring up. One is obviously Patriot Day, known as 9/11. Big day. There's going to be a huge ceremony out there at the convention center, followed by a run that night. And I'd encourage people to participate. The 15th begins National Hispanic Heritage Month. The 29th of September is Gold Star Mothers and Family Days. We don't do enough to recognize them. Please keep that in your mind. And when you reach out and you see one, please say something. Last thing, September is National Suicide Prevention Month. If you see something, say something. More importantly, get the help. There are suicide prevention hotlines out there. And in almost every case, when you do the postmortem, everybody saw the signs and nobody picked up the phone to help the individual. It's got to be a direct pass. You see something, say something to the individual and get them their help. And the VA can be a very strong part of that. Thank you for my couple of minutes, Carl.
Hey, thanks so much for the update. We appreciate you. Let's get into our military organization updates. And I'm going to throw it over to Colonel Hankins, Garrison Commander at Fort Jackson. Colonel, how are you?
Hey, sir, I'm doing very well. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Carl, and also appreciate the support and the collaboration on some of these actions that we're working to push some of these projects through Hill and get them written into the NDAA. So we appreciate your support as well as the additional support from the members that we have up there. Just a few highlights here, sir. For those that follow Brigadier General's recurring COVID-19 town halls, you're already tracking most of our response, so I won't spend a lot of time on that topic. But we do want you to know that the mission is continuing. COVID hasn't changed what we do. It's only changed how we do it. And we continue to get after it here on Fort Jackson. Also, the Army Training Center continues to experience really good success with the 2+8 training model as they screen new initial trainees upon arrival, place those positives and PUIs into quarantine or isolation, and go ahead and push them through that subsequent 8 weeks of training. To date, and to much appreciation from the local transportation support that we're getting here, we've been able to acquire sterile transportation and push all those trainees to gaining installations with no positive cases being pushed forward. So we appreciate the support there on that as well. We continue to deliver the vast majority of our installation services on Fort Jackson while ensuring adherence to our protective measures to include our screening, wear of our face coverings in our facilities, and social distancing and sanitization practices. So we've realized some positive results and outcomes here on the installation with that. Just to hit a few of our past quarter highlights, we've had the Medical University of South Carolina that successfully conducted 2 COVID-19 drive-through testing events here on Fort Jackson on 8 and 10 July. Doctors Care provided the workforce to staff that event, which gave Fort Jackson residents and beneficiaries an opportunity to get tested. We had a total of 892 soldiers, civilians, and family members and beneficiaries that took advantage of that opportunity. So we're working with the MUSC to go ahead and try to schedule another drive, hopefully here during the month of September. So we appreciate that support as well. On 15 July, we also had Tom Mulliken, the South Carolina Floodwater Commission Chairman, that led 52 members of the SC7 expedition team on a 5-mile march to the Palmetto Trail here on Fort Jackson. That overall expedition totaled 500 miles over 30 days, highlighting the continuing challenges of veterans that are suffering from PTSD and to educate the South Carolina population about the trail, parks, and historical locations. They also had South Carolina Lieutenant Governor Pam Everett, South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, and South Carolina Adjutant General Van McCarty were also among those participants. So great participation and support there. With the hurricane season upon us and all predictions indicating an increase in the number of both tropical storms and hurricanes, we've worked closely with the Navy Advanced Individual Training Commandant for the Navy Nuclear Power Training Unit there at Charleston Fort to ensure that we incorporate them into Fort Jackson under COVID conditions. And so to that end, we're going to have a tabletop exercise here on 1 September to make sure that we're postured to receive them and what will likely be a higher than expected hurricane season. We're continuing to partner with the Greater Columbia and surrounding communities while planning for a potential PGA Tour of Champions event here in the spring of 2022 to be held on Fort Jackson. We just had PGA representatives here on Fort Jackson this week to assess our resources and any needed course modifications to get after that event. After finalizing those plans, they're going to present their proposal. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it certainly takes a community to draw in and sponsor a PGA tournament here in the greater Midlands region. So we very much appreciate the support from Mayor Benjamin, the Chamber, and the other partners that are helping us to make that happen. Sir, for the next quarter, I'd like to highlight our Victory Block Leave is going to be our main effort as we go into the Christmas holidays again this year. We are partnering again with the community under COVID conditions to execute that block leave from 17 December to 6 January while operating under COVID-19 conditions. Last year was a tremendous success that helped over 6,800 soldiers travel to be with family members and friends during the holidays. So we look forward to synchronizing transportation support between the airport, bus, and train stations, as well as the local law enforcement to ensure the safety of soldiers while they're in transit. Just to highlight an upcoming visit of distinguished visitors, we're going to have General Paul Funk, the TRADOC Commanding General, and the Honorable James E. McPherson, the Undersecretary of the Army, visiting Fort Jackson in September. They'll be assessing training, service support to training, and ongoing infrastructure projects here on the installation. And that assessment will also provide further insight on how we continue to execute each of our missions at a higher level under COVID conditions. Now, the Army has had a couple of changes to initiatives that I would like to highlight with regards to privatized housing, military construction, and restoration and modernization projects. The Army Material Command and MCOM changed their approach for assessing Army privatized housing. Over the past 6 months, AMC and MCOM held 2 Army-wide housing summits. The significance is a strategic, holistic Army assessment across all of our installations at each privatized project to define needs, assess reinvestment dollars, and also lobby for those additional investment funds in order to resource out-year development plans. Balfour Beatty and Fort Jackson are currently developing an out-year development plan that will reinvest about $11 million to demo 21 homes and build new 24 additional units here on the installation over the next few years. The Army Material Command and MCOM also changed their approach for addressing military construction and restoration and modernization projects, some of which was touched on earlier in the presentation. The Army Facility Investment Strategy includes an assessment of all Army installation requirements holistically against 6 Army strategic leader priorities. The outcome of the Facility Investment Plan, which articulates Army senior leadership priorities for the investment of available sustainment, restoration, and modernization, and military construction dollars over the next 10 years. The good news is that Fort Jackson made the list of the Army's top 7 priority installations, the Army's top 7 priority installations, and a large part of that being the fact that we provide 51% of the Army's entire initial entry enlisted training population each year. Further good news is that the Army has initially approved Fort Jackson to receive 3 MILCON projects totaling $246 million over the next 8 years, although the resourcing has not yet been programmed into the FIDIF, the POM, nor the NDAA, but it's a favorable outcome for us thus far. Also, Fort Jackson was initially approved for $72 million in restoration and modernization projects for the execution from FY22 to FY30. I'm sorry, excuse me, that was $138 million for execution from FY22 to FY30. So we have gone back to Army and requested to bring several of those projects forward for earlier execution if we can get that done. And we'll continue to remain engaged and compete for the finite resources that are available. As a reminder of currently approved projects over the course of the next 2 to 5 years, Fort Jackson will experience about $200 million in new construction and major renovation and repair. Much of the work will be done by subcontractors and part suppliers from companies right here in the Midlands. Some examples of these projects include Sims Dam that you're familiar with, Weston Lake Dam repair, a combined heat and power plant, energy conservation, basic combat training complex number 4, and the reception battalion complex. Additionally, Fort Jackson will invest about $50 million during fiscal year 2021 just to maintain, repair, and upgrade our remaining 2,500 buildings around the installation. Nearly all of this work will be accomplished by local contractors and subcontractors, relying on local part suppliers and manufacturers to support all of these efforts. So although these changes represent a strategic shift and how the Army assesses requirements and appropriates dollars across to Army installations. Fort Jackson has realized highly favorable outcomes thus far, and we expect to continue to do so. In closing, we have had several leaders change out through the summer, and I would like to highlight that Command Sergeant Major Filson Tavernier replaced Command Sergeant Major Jeremiah Gann as the Post Command Sergeant Major. We're excited for him to serve as part of our senior command team. Also, Colonel McDonald will be introducing the Army Training Center's new Deputy Commander, Colonel Mike Larson, later in this venue. So Carl, subject to your questions, that's all I have for today's update.
Thanks for the thorough update. We appreciate it very much. Appreciate all you do. I was going to introduce those guests, but I'll let McDonald do that here in the short. Sorry, I got an ambulance going by. Let's want to introduce, we got another newbie, if I can call you that, sir, Brigadier General Jeff Johnson. We really appreciate you being here. Jeff Jones, I'm sorry. But General, thanks for filling in today. Thanks for your patience while we got to you. But how are things at the Guard?
Hey, thanks so much, Carl. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. It's good to be with everybody. Appreciate our relationship that we have with the Columbia Chamber, as well as all of our partners that are online. I'll tell you that organization's doing well. I agree exactly with what Todd said, and that's that our center of gravity is public trust through this. And I believe we're efforting along with all of our partners, whether it be Fort Jackson, the community resources, the USO, to really get after that. Again, we're doing well. We're resilient, just like the organizations that we look to support. And we really get after it in three ways. We do it through providing deployable soldiers, to providing capabilities during defense support to civil authorities, and adding value to South Carolina. And again, I think we do that. I'd like to offer a shout out up front to a group that I believe is making a tremendous difference in our community and state, and that's our National Guard Funeral Honors Team. We all understand that the limitations that have been placed on all of the services due to COVID, and we challenged our Funeral Honors Team to step up and do our part to reach out to really all of our sister branches and all our sister components to make sure that we give the families and the deceased soldiers the rights they deserve. We're really proud of them, and we look forward to continuing to fill any gaps there. As you well know, we're deeply involved in the COVID fight. Brigadier General Brad Owens of our agency, our Director of Joint Staff, is heading that up. We've been on mission since March 13th when the governor signed the original executive order. And as you're following in the news, we expect to be on orders, federal orders, up through the end of the year. And then we'll see if we need to proceed through that and we don't have a federal order, we'll transition to state active duty. Bottom line is we're on the point supporting citizens of South Carolina right now, and we're doing that through a multiple of tasks that we have. Test site support, we're providing medic and testing support to the South Carolina Department of Corrections through 5 facilities. We're providing decontamination / fogging teams to facilities. One really neat thing we've been able to do through this is to place our 68 whiskeys once they clear licensing issues with the state inside hospitals, and we're doing a lot of this in the PD area. And the reason why I say it's neat is that we're providing the support to hospitals whose staffs are often taxed, but at the same time, we're giving these 68 whiskeys opportunities to get really meaningful training doing what they do. And so we're also providing decon support to a decon machine that's located out at Leesburg. The latest numbers are they've deconned over 77 masks and various other PPE. So we're glad to host that. We're working closely with the Department of Education, providing 88 mic drivers to do bus driving. We did that over the summer, And we look to see as the Adjutant General continues to work with the State Superintendent of Education, Superintendent Spearman, as to what our role will be going further. And of course, providing the tent support, the transportation support. So I believe we're supporting our partners, and I believe that we're adding value to the state of South Carolina. Very proud of our citizen soldiers who are stepping up and doing the job. So like all other state agencies, we're in receipt of the governor's guidance for the budget. And as you know, and I think Mr. Suedo spoke earlier about cyber opportunities and all. We had a project that we're working, building a cyber dream port through a readiness center in Aiken. We're kind of seeing what's our next step right now. Along with our other projects that we have throughout the state. We don't feel this is going to affect the construction of our Readiness Center. Is going to be on Charleston Air Force Base property. That'll be all federal dollars, so we're still on schedule with that. But we're trying to see what the next steps are, working closely with our partners. And these, as we explore cyber capabilities, really just the sky's the limit. When you look at things like the University of South Carolina is doing, other state agencies are doing, USC Aiken, we're really excited about that. We just got to see where do we go now under this budgetary environment. Deployments and redeployments remain a big thing. We're very excited that our Combined Arms Battalion, over 600 soldiers are in the process of returning home right now. This is a battalion that deployed to the Middle East as part of the 30th Armored Brigade Combat Team. And as soon as they arrived in country, they were tasked to support and protect the oil fields of Syria. And did a tremendous job. We're glad to have them all come back. And we also have returned home a CSSB and also a signal company. So very excited for those guardsmen and especially their families that they're returning home. And of course, the focus on the redeployment piece. I echo what Mr. Suedo said about the great job that the USO is done in welcoming our guardsmen home. You get out there to the airport and they come in and that USO is right there. And we just can't, we just couldn't find a better USO team than we have here in South Carolina. And as everyone knows, and as all of our partners here, you have an equal part in. We're watching the weather. We know that Mother Nature in the hurricane season that they're running right now, we've got our eyes on the tropics every day. We're ready to respond, as I'm sure all of our partners here on the net are too. So we're busy. This is what we do. Continuing to enjoy and build on the relationships we have with each one of you. And again, on behalf of General McCarty, I appreciate the time that you gave me. Carl.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you and what all our guardsmen are doing. So thank you for your service. Fortunate to have Colonel Abu Gandhi, who's the fighter wing commander for the 169th. Abu, good afternoon. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Carl. I'm doing great. I appreciate opportunity over here. I'll roll through a few things. Past quarter, our priorities throughout the COVID pandemic crisis. Number one, we've been laser beam focused on uncompromised mission assurance of our 24/7, 365 days a year air defense mission. And that's, for those who are not familiar, we're the first line of defense for air defense of the Southeast continental United States. We've also maintained our readiness with our F-16s to deploy globally to respond to a peer competitor, that would be China or Russia if you're not tracking that, or in support of United States national defense strategy. And then lastly, certainly not least, we provide a robust and appropriate response to any domestic needs, whether that be COVID, hurricane response, some of the civil unrest problems. That's where I'm really talking about the appropriate response. We're very, very much in a supporting role there. Unfortunately, we have great citizens in South Carolina, and we've not dealt with a lot of those big problems there. The Army tends to have the lead. Army Guard tends to have the lead on a lot of those efforts. and they do the heavy lifting, but we'll fold our airmen into their teams to get everything going. Our state air surgeon has been very active in helping coordinate the DHEC hospital response plans, and we've had airmen out there on screening some of the high-risk populations, such as the prisons. We had an assist to the Army with the distribution of protective equipment from the Strategic National Stockpile. And then we were thrilled to be able to put some F-16s over some 70-odd hospitals one day as a salute to our healthcare heroes who've been fighting on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. Throughout this, we've had about 180 airmen deployed overseas in a variety of different theaters. They have, most of them were extended from anywhere to 1 to 2 months as we work through all the COVID travel restrictions. But we're starting to get all of those folks home, back to their families, and we'll get them back out to the installation after they get some very deserved downtime. And I want to put a shout out to all of our employers for their continued support as our airmen serve our great nation. Coming up in the future, we've got a large-scale exercise called Red Flag. This is where we test our ability to fight a peer competitor, the high-end fight, and that'll take place out at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, and that'll be in the January-February timeframe of 2021. That is kind of a preparation exercise for when we send our aviation package. That means the F-16s and typically anywhere from 300 to 350 airmen in support of that mission to a location that's yet to be publicly disclosed. But they'll be out again on mission again, which is seems to be about every 2-year rotation. It's fairly typical, although this one is a 3-year. We're lucky to have 3 years off this time, but the Swamp Foxes are busy. Also want to throw out a huge shout out to our USO. The folks that we've got volunteering over there and working over there are truly amazing, and they just don't know how to take no for an answer, and they're going to support all our folks. That was a really big deal to our airmen and their families as they went out the door on their deployment and coming back home. So can't thank them enough, and we look forward to National Oreo Day again. There is a great potential opportunity. We're looking at some significant runway renovations taking place at the installation on our main runway. That's for the fixed wing aircraft. Helicopters will still be able to operate out of McEntire. When we do that, there's a chance we may try to relocate our flying operations to Columbia Metro Airport. We're excited about the possibilities there. It's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination, but we're looking forward to that, and we seem like we've got some positive response from the airport, and I think that would be a great thing for our community to kind of let everybody see our Air National Guard. We're kind of tucked off on the east side of town, but let everyone see our Air National Guard in action. There are some, I'll close out with just some discussions on some future basing decisions that the United States Air Force is going to make in relation to the F-35. They recently announced Jacksonville is going to pick up an F-35 squadron as they recapitalize their F-15s. In the shortly after that, there'll be some opportunities and the Air Force will go through their basing process. And we still think that McEntire is extremely well postured. Huge support in the community, great access to all the training resources that they're looking for, a legacy of excellence in the mission sets that the F-35 is going to be continuing with. And, any community support that we can get, we welcome. And if anyone's out there and they have an opportunity, but they just don't know how to craft a message or, need some assistance with some of the background, please reach out to our public affairs office, and we'd be happy to help you out with that so we can give you some good information so you can share what is accurate. We can do a lot of things. There are a few things that we can't do, but we want to make sure that everyone understands what the potential and what kind of an impact that can have to our local community. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have. Carl, thank you for the time.
Colonel, thank you very much. I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. We are running a little bit over, but 2 shout outs right quick before I get to one of our last reports. Great to see President Ron Raines on from Midlands Tech, does a great job. And also our friend is at Richland 2, Baron Davis, superintendent of Richland 2 is on. Talk about a hell of a summer. Baron's had one, and glad you're looking good on camera. Baron, thanks for joining us today. Let's get on to 81st Regional Support. Mike Mascari. Mike, how are you?
Hey, great. Thanks very much for the time. I'll be brief. We got a new car, Chief of the Army Reserve, that's Lieutenant General Jody Daniels. So not only is she the first female Chief of the Army Reserve, but she comes with quite an impressive resume. One of the things that's going to be beneficial for us is that she actually was a Readiness Division commander. There's 4 of us Readiness Divisions, and she was the one up at the 88th. She was a PhD in computer science, and she is the Director for Advanced Programs for Lockheed Martin's Advanced Technology Laboratories. So the skill set's really important as we move into our next phase with our cyber needs for defense. I believe that she'll help take the Army Reserve to the next level. She's a huge proponent of community engagement, which is very good from my perspective. And these are the types of things that the divisions will be focusing more in on. So I don't know for sure, but I expect a greater emphasis in support to civil authorities, whether it's our fellow service members with the active component, the National Guard, as well as local authorities. So what we do, I realize that normally the National Guard is the lead on that, and they obviously will continue to be the lead. But we do provide IRA mission support, so it's immediate response authority. We did have our commanding general of our division just retired 2 weeks ago. So in the interim, Brigadier General Joseph Riccardi, who's a West Point grad, is going to be acting as our commanding general. He was one of our deputy commanding generals, if his name sounds familiar to you. The selection should come out in October for the next 2-star boards. So we should have a name by then. And by the end of the calendar year, I expect that we'll have our new commanding general in place. But it's not going to change too much. General Riccardi's priorities are still the same as General Jones's were. And we're focusing on right now on our return to steady state operations. You know, obviously a number of things have to happen before we resume normal. But we're still committed to not only maintaining readiness for ready soldiers, ready equipment, ready facilities, but we're also growing our organization. We're actually having more civilian and military employment opportunities coming on board. So our civilian jobs are listed on USA Jobs. It's, as a defense community of excellence, Columbia is a great landing spot. One of the great things about our leaders is when they leave, they tend to stay in the community and they return to the private sector. So it's a great opportunity, I think, because we're bringing in some great talent, and obviously Columbia is a great city. So I think this is really a benefit for everyone. Right. Our vehicle maintenance shops, our storage facilities, all of that all across our footprint, including our 2 facilities on Fort Jackson, have been running normal operations since the beginning. And in terms of the, wanted to put one more plug out there. So the Minuteman Scholarship season, it opens for the 2nd series on 3 September. So Colonel Akers or Mr. Marty Wells at the 81st of the points of contact, please reach out to me if you know somebody that's an interested candidate. Obviously, it's a great opportunity. You know, we're building leaders for tomorrow, which will help, obviously, everyone here. So I just want to thank everybody for your support. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Great. Thanks very much for your time. We've got a couple of folks. We're going to wrap this up really quickly, so I apologize for going over. But Colonel McDonald, can I put you on the spot? I think Hank said you were going to make an introduction. I was going to do it, but I'd love for you to do it if you don't mind.
Well, you'll probably have more to add, but I just want to welcome the new member of our Fort Jackson team. It's Colonel Michael Larson. He came from Italy, and he's our new Deputy Commanding Officer. We had a ceremony this morning, and he's very excited to work with the entire community. And I'll turn it over to you, Carl.
Right. Well, we're had an opportunity to spend some time with Colonel Larson last week, and we welcome him back to South Carolina. He's a graduate of the Southern Charm School in Charleston, the Citadel, and he is really, he and his family welcome him back to South Carolina, and we look forward to working with him over the next couple of years. Robert Cash had a comment he wanted to make.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I appreciate that. It kind of caught me off guard. My name is Bobby Cash. I work with the Columbia Vet Center. Most of you know the Vet Center. We deal with readjustment counseling for our combat veterans and MST, that sort of thing. And we're part of the VA. A lot of people don't realize. We're going to be having a fall festival and veteran suicide awareness walk on September 26th from 08 till 2 p.m. in the afternoon, roughly. It's going to be a great day. We're going to have a lot of good stuff. We're the only game in town on the 26th, and we're going to be legally sound. So if you're looking for something fun to do on the 26th of September on a nice crisp autumn morning, it's going to be family orientated. And it's also going to be for a heck of a good cause for veteran suicide awareness. Come on out and join us over on Richland Street. And I'll post the information in the chat box and maybe even add a file.
Great. Thank you. Scott, can I flip it back over to you? I think that sums up everything for our end. I'll turn it back over to you for closing comments, but thanks to everybody for joining today. Scott?
Sure, yeah, thank you all. Great attendance, great participation. Thanks to everybody for calling in. I'll close it with just the announcement that the next meeting for the Military Outreach Group will be on Tuesday, November 17th at 2 p.m. So go ahead and mark the calendars now. Thanks, Carl.
Hey, thank you all. Thank everybody for your time and commitment to our chamber. We really, really appreciate it. Y'all be safe, wear your masks, and use your hand sanitizer. Thank you.